So thanks for the introduction. My name is Riikka Korkiamäki, and I'm a professor in social work in the University of Tampere in Finland. Yeah. I'll try to keep my mouth to my But before I started my career in academia, I was working with young people as a social pedagogue and as a social worker. And one of the jobs I had was to work with this group of girls who were identified, and this is quite awful to be said, they were labeled by the school as 7 girls who are in the risk of marginalization or in the risk of social exclusion, and they were kind of assigned to me as you would work with them to prevent social exclusion or marginalization. This was in like the early 2000s. And I didn't really know what to do with these girls, but so they had different, various social problems. 7 girls, they were going to the same school, so they knew each other, but they were not friends. There were 2 girls who were friends previously, but the others didn't know each other. So you can imagine, we had like a Finnish rower girl, someone with another ethnic background, some people with like more working class background, one girl with a really high kind of like middle class background. So you can imagine in that group of 7 girls, there were all kinds of disputes, arguments, fights happening. I worked with them for close to a year, and quite like, it wasn't easy. It was a struggle. I was a young social worker. I didn't know really what I was doing either. But we did lots of group activities. And quite close to the end of the period that I was working with them, a brother of one of the girls died in a motorcycle accident. And without me interfering in any way, these 7 girls who had been, almost like killing each other, with all the fights and arguments and disputes in that group, they all got together. They helped the girl with the family, with all kinds of problems in the family, so they really, needed support in organizing the funeral. I still get emotional thinking about that. So the girls went and helped, to serve the meal at the memorials event, and kind of really showed support to the girl. And at that time, I think it was like 2004 maybe, no one talked with the word of solidarity. That word didn't come to my mind. I maybe thought about friendliness, support. Then when I went on to my academic career, did my PhD, I realized, okay, this is about social capital. I still didn't think about solidarity compared to today, when solidarity is the word on everyone's lips, really, as you can see. But before going into that, there's just 2 things I want to say. The first thing is, which I already talked with the organizers about, is that I'm really lousy on timing. So they kindly have offered to show me when I need to shut up, and then we'll just see where we are. So just excuse me for that to start with. The other thing, what I really want to say, is that I'm really thankful and grateful for the opportunity to be here and speaking to you and with you. So thank you, organizers, and especially thank to Jutta in Finland, who had studied our research project's webpage and contacted us to give this talk. And I'm not only thankful for the opportunity to share our research with you, but I'm really thankful for the opportunity to learn, because I'm genuinely curious about what is solidarity to all you here, to you who are young people, to you who work with young people, to those of you who train the people who work with young people, or who work with policies concerning young people. So I'm just, genuinely curious to learn about that. Like, how do you see the concept of solidarity? And I guess that connects us to what Birgit was saying in the previous talk, which really actually is a great kind of platform for what we are continuing here now. And I guess that brings us to my first question. I have 3 questions for you. This is the first. Looking at these pictures here, how many, or like raise your hand if you think these pictures are about solidarity. No one? Oh, yeah, some. Yeah, a bit thinking there, but in the end, I guess everyone thinks these pictures represent solidarity. Very good. Oh, there's no right or wrong answers. You don't have to think about that. It's just kind of like a matter of opinion. So, yeah. What about these pictures? Do they represent solidarity? Are they about solidarity? Raise your hand if you think they are. Yeah, pretty much pretty close to everyone. What about these? Are they about solidarity? Raise your hand if you think these pictures tell about solidarity. I see one hand, two. Yeah. Okay, very good. Thanks. So you can hold on to that thought and maybe see what happens maybe during the next 25 minutes or during today or during this entire conference, and then you can see whether your ideas of what is solidarity is confirmed or changed in any way. So you can kind of keep these pictures in your head and just kind of reflect on those during this conference or when you go home or in a year. Okay, what's this? You're running out of battery. Let's just leave this. Okay. So anyways, mostly when we think about solidarity, we think of something that researchers call conventional solidarity. And that is what we actually think, like when we think of the first picture, we think of shared values, and what Riikka was talking about, shared values that unite a group or a community. And I suppose we can all agree that is one form of solidarity. What this solidarity does, it assumes people's emotional attachment to a shared value community, which is good. But the problem with this is that it kind of expects our values to be based on similarity, like that we share same values, mutual goals, and very traditional ideas of solidarity that are based on us even being similar in many ways, like sharing same background, same gender, or sexual identity, that kind of issues. And as we heard earlier about that diversity, we cannot expect that in the society today, which is described by the fragmentation of communities and complexity of social life. So if you think of young people who are, like sometimes people come together, with voluntarily, they have an idea, they do share values, and they share a mutual goal, and they choose to come together. But if you think of young people today, they are in these spaces and places and communities that they actually did not choose. They are put into the same school, they have to live in the same neighborhood, they go to the hobby groups together, and often that is not their choice. It's the choice of their parents, their teachers, or grown-up people anywhere. And it's kind of too much to expect of these young people to really share the same background or same values, or to be similar in any way. So that's different a little, maybe, what things were earlier. I don't know, it depends probably where what age are you and where you are from. But for me, at least, growing up in 1970s and 80s Finland, I went to school with the same people, who lived next to me. We did the same hobbies. We interacted all the time with the same people, compared to young people today who are simultaneously members of several groups and diverse communities and multiple social categories. And this means that these communal identities that are built, for example, in a school or in a neighborhood, they are built, of course, or they may become built by togetherness and reciprocity and social support, but they're also built on differentiation, and othering and control. Those are always at play at the same time. And this means that certain types of solidarities, when solidarity brings among some people, it also causes polarization of people and ideas and identities as well. And that actually may reproduce inequalities. So this is something to be aware of when we talk about solidarity today. We cannot assume that it is a purely unquestionably good thing. Well, solidarity is, but there's always kind of like a downside to it as well. Because, as we heard previously about identities, identity is always about, us, and to be us, there's always the one who we are not. There's always the other as well. Another thing about solidarity today, as we all agreed, thinking of the first picture, that this is about solidarity, a lot of discussion on solidarity today is limited to solidarity as activism. But can we expect that if we think of young people, the majority of young people today? Like we would like them to be interested in climate change, helping disabled people in their neighboring community. But if you think of the majority of young people today, I don't think they are. Even if we want them to be, even if we try to support them to be, that might be too much to ask of just the general group of young people. And for those young people, we do not know what solidarity in practice actually means for them, what it means for different people. Like, where is solidarity performed and how? What it is, what do people do when they perform solidarity? How individual choices and decisions related to solidarity are made? And how are the borders and boundaries of solidarity expressed? So basically, what we in our research are interested in is that how solidarity is embodied and enacted in practice in young people's everyday encounters with others. And in other words, what constitutes everyday, so-called everyday solidarity for young people, and how their solidarities are constructed and negotiated in relation to communities, spaces, belonging, togetherness, and otherness. So just to briefly introduce our project, it is a research project called Solidarity in Practice, Young People's Everyday Communities as Sources and Recognition and Spaces of Preventive Social Work. It's funded by the Finnish Research Council, and here's the names of the people of the research team. And I'm really happy to have some of my team, my excellent researchers here with me. So we have Dina, can you say hello?
Hi everyone.
And then we have Annika.
Hello.
And Maro.
Hey.
And there's some other people involved as well, but there are 4 of us able to be here today, so thank you for that to organizers as well. And they've all had an input for this presentation, so thanks, guys. And in this project, we are working with young people aged about 15 to 18 years, and we are really basically wanting to find out what solidarity means to young people. How do they define solidarity, and how do they enact it? How do they act out solidarity? Maybe that's the word. And we're looking at how solidarity is constructed in kind of 3 contexts, which we have chosen as the environments, or we see kind of as the everyday environments of young people, like typical everyday environments, which are school, street, which to us means just kind of like these public places, and online in social media. So these are the environments that we are looking at in this project, using various methods and aiming to increase understanding of contemporary and people's solidarities and how they can be developed in professional work with young people. So I'm just now going to present only one bit of the research. We are really in process and in the middle of working with it. And what we've done is mostly the school bit. And Tina here has been very kind of responsible of this bit. So what I'm presenting is mostly the analysis done by Tina together with myself. So in this part of the research, we try to identify these various forms of everyday solidarity And how we did it is that Ordina actually invented this short story stamp, and we asked young people to continue it. And the story was about, like we asked them to identify as the only survivors after the end of the world, and then they were thinking that they had a hold of this magical medicine that with what they were able to cure 10 other people in their school. And we asked them to identify who they would cure and why. And that would tell us who they ally with, who are the loyalties, who are excluded and included, and that would tell us about solidarity, this everyday solidarity. So Francis is going to go through each of these quickly. So the first bit identified, and this, if I didn't mention this Dina's analysis, I just really want to, give the credit to Dina about this. So we found that there's this what we call pre-existing solidarity, and this was about, we saw it as kind of easy solidarity, which was based on familiarity and kind of established in close relationships, kind of like these previously learned solidarities. So these young people, they relied and allied with the people that they knew beforehand, like their best friends. And this type of solidarity is limited to concrete others to whom people are like emotionally connected. So it's the type of solidarity that is established between family members and close friends. Like someone among our participants wrote that I would choose only my close friends so we can put our tiny brains together. Or another people wrote that, I just want to have fun with my friends because there's no problems around. So that's why I choose my best friends. But what surprised us is that, because we expected, these are 16-year-olds, so we thought that most of these young people would be like this, like they would just want to hang out with their best friends and have fun and choose those because they are emotionally connected to them. But this was the minority, like not very few people of these young people chose to express this pre-existing solidarity. Instead, this was the most popular form of solidarity among our participants, and this is what we call reflective solidarity. So this is developing new alliances rather than relying on those pre-existing alliances. This is kind of rational or rationalized solidarity, and it's based on interdependency and diversity. It's when these young people ally with individuals, other people who have skills, and also with other young people, like their peers, and also with adults in school who had different skills and abilities, and which were those skills were different from their own in order to, because they were asked to build this good society, like who would you choose in order to build a good society. And Jodie calls this as a kind of like mutual expectation of a responsible orientation to relationships. One of our participants wrote that first me and my friends were thinking if we should not save anyone, we could take over the world between the three of us, but then we realized that it would be good to have wise people in addition to us dummies. And some others wrote that they would choose someone who can farm, someone who can build things from wood. Someone would choose only mostly kind people. Someone would choose a school nurse or a school cook, and they were really rationalizing who do we need. They have this mutual goal to build a good society. So it was precisely difference for these young people that forms the basis of us in a community. So difference produces solidarity, which was interesting because you usually think that difference is a risk of, towards solidarity. And then the third form was effective solidarity, which was really based on this struggle or negotiation between alignments and misalignments. And it was based on differentiation and othering, as well as belonging and togetherness. And we think this is important because usually you think solidarity as based on good things, like good feelings, like receiving support, friendliness, trust. But this was more emerging from more like negative feelings, like hurt, distrust, and realizing the vulnerability in people and looking for someone who makes us feel less vulnerable. Like I would cure two of my best friends so they can be on my side and defend me if I am betrayed. So this is kind of another type of solidarity. And then we thought that what's happening really here is something that can be called spatial solidarity, which is a term used by Österlund and others. And the idea is that solidarity starts with how we react to others with whom we share a common space with. So it's not necessarily confined to shared values or common cause, but it is this experience of togetherness when individuals are united by action. Like this famous sociologist Sigmund Bauman says, that solidarity is not that much in sharing the cause chosen as solidarity in having a cause. And like he studies these people demonstrating in a market square and he says that it is I and you and all the rest of us on that square having purposes, and that means that life has a meaning. So it doesn't really matter what we are aiming at. It's that we are aiming at something together. So just to conclude, we think that this idea of spatial solidarity is important because it means it kind of proves that solidarities are stemming from a myriad of connections that simply are anywhere. We don't have to expect people to have a shared idea or similar goals or values to start with. There's potential solidarity if you just put people together in the same space and allow these also like negative feelings as well as positive feelings to emerge. And this is important for young people because we often put them in that kind of space. So my last word, when aiming to build solidarities, places can be the central focus as it reveals these constant troubles about alliances and loyalties. And solidarities are, based on our research, drawing from the feelings of togetherness, sympathy, help, social support, reciprocity, trust, loyalty, and also from hurt, resentment, and inequality, but not so much in similarities, and we think that's a good sign. We don't have to rely on similarities. Thank you. Do we have time for questions?
We have time for one or two questions if there is the first question right now.
Yes.
Is there any mic? Or I think you want to have a mic?
If you can hear me, I'm okay.
Yeah.
Is it the video, please?
Yeah. Because yeah.
Hello, Susanna Valnerva from the Academy of Fine Arts and Design in Bratislava. Thank you very much. I was actually very thrilled by the research. I don't know if you've started already with the research or you're going to.
We have started, we've done this, like the school that we've done, and we're going on with other
I was wondering because I'm working with young people as well, and as your target group is 15 to 20 or 16 to 20, and we noticed as well the generation is it's hard to cooperate with. They are demotivated, becoming snowflakes, and so on. So my question is, how are you going to make them to participate on the research? And what ways are you going to use? Like, are you going to, or what activities are you going to have? Like qualitative interviews with them, or are you going to schools to talk to them?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very, very good question. And we've actually spent lots of time thinking how to motivate our young people to be. I could speak about this for the entire day, just answering this topic or question, but I'm going to be very short. My experience is that coming in as a researcher, it's much easier than coming in as a professional social worker. Because young people, they don't have expectations of us. Like if you come in as a parent, police, teacher, social worker, to youth workers, maybe a little easier, but there's always this hierarchy, and young people, they sense that and they know that, and they experience that sense of control. Whereas to us, we are just grown-up people who are genuinely interested in what's your life like. Please tell us, we don't know. So young people are usually very happy to share their life. But then we also come, when we study topics like solidarity, which is a sensitive topic, you ask people to tell things that they're not supposed to say. They know that they're not supposed to say that. I don't want to hang out with these people. I don't like them. They're ugly or something like that. And we want to study those. We want to get a grip of those kind of, feelings and discourses as well. So then we need to find out ways to young people to feel kind of free and natural and trusting. And we've talked a lot with young people. Like how do you want to communicate your life? And we know that the typical ways, like we interview them. No one shares your life, with interviewing. Or we ask them to fill a questionnaire. No one wants to do it. Like that's not a natural way of giving information. So what we want to do is try to find ways of doing that. So that's what I explained here, like asking them to continue a story STEM, like story completion, and spending a lot of time in building, constructing the story, which is Tina did. Like Tina spent the whole last Christmas holiday reading, books that young people read about, like these zombie books and something like that. So and then we managed to create a story STEM about, post-apocalyptic world. And we were really happily surprised that all the 9th graders in the school, this was done in school, they all participated. Also boys, which are typically difficult to motivate. So just to, spend time on finding the ways of doing that. Other bits of our weekends are a lot about this kind of ethnographic method of just hanging out, spending time with the young people, getting to know them, to make them feel trusted. And I know I need to stop now.
I do love my room. One more question.
Can everyone hear me? Yeah. Okay, great. Thank you for the presentation. It was really nice. So I started working when I was 18 as a volunteer. Now I'm 20, and I feel like I fall in that category of the people where we work with also. And when I started as 18, just 2 years back, I feel like the current generation, so the people who are now like 15 to 18, so younger than me. And when I was younger, it's not slightly, big more than slightly difference I can see. Because you're working, I want to ask, do you feel that the upcoming, this generation is getting worse than what we had? Like for example, me, when I was 18, I feel like we had better sense of solidarity, unity, and I don't know, just a better feeling. But now, with the upcoming, do you think things are getting, like things are working out, or is it just getting bad with the upcoming generations? Because the place where I work, I don't feel like things are getting easy. Current youth are kind of, I don't know, many of them are easily even getting depressed. There are many things to point, like encounter, but yeah, I want your opinion on this.
Well, that is a very difficult question, and of course, like we don't follow trends like that. I think it's really depends on. I think one thing that you nicely point out with your question is that we are not talking about a phenomenon that is, uniform and, the same all the time, but it changes depending on the context, depending on time and space and culture. So that also makes it difficult to compare, whether it's changing to good or bad. But it just depends where you are and who you are working with at the moment, and that makes a difference, I think. Yes.